expected. It's those big four. The Krull, Lyra, expect a Celeste pick from Qlash, and then expect a Tony answer from Salty Potatoes. But no, they're gonna shake it up. We talked about this Reza pick. I was, when we were talking about, Reza being banned, I was gonna say, do we see a team actually just first pick it and say, you know what, we want this Reza pick? That's exactly what Qlash have done here.
Yeah, so now no matter what backline mage Salty Potatoes wants to go with, they're still going to have to deal with Reza the entire day. I think that's a huge reason why Qlash decided to ban the Krull first. Krull is a hero that definitely does very well into Reza. Salty Potatoes picking up that Tony, still a phenomenal captain, especially once Lyra's off the table. Someone that if you can get a taunt off onto Reza, it makes Reza very vulnerable.
Very actually surprised to see an Alpha pick here instead of the Celeste. Not surprised to see Alpha, just surprised to not see Celeste in this situation. You're giving an opportunity for Qlash to take it, but neither of these teams going to be putting the priority on the Celeste. I now fully expect to see her get banned away in this rotation, but that is, the Reza Baptiste is such a strong duo. There's a lot of assassination and a lot of sustain and kiting potential between those two. So Qlash clearly going to be looking for those aggressive team fight moves.
Just the synergy between those two heroes as well. Baptiste drops that Ordained onto an enemy, makes it very easy for Reza to get on top of them. He can go ahead, drop the ultimate, whether it's the dash in, the fire scorcher, whatever it is. Very hard for whatever carry Salty Potatoes decides to go with. Banning Lorelei, something we've seen Leon be very comfortable on, so it's a bit of an interesting ban. But
where's Celeste? I am shocked to see Celeste this far in and not make an appearance in the draft. The Idris getting banned away again has been one of these picks that's been making a lot of waves, but having Celeste still available, is it a case where maybe Salty Potatoes don't want to pick the Celeste? Well, they do want to pick the Celeste, but I was gonna say maybe they try and move away from it because of the Reza and the Baptiste being there, but they are gonna go ahead take the Celeste now. But third pick is very deep in the draft for Celeste to still be available.
Taka's still on the board as well, so if Qlash wants to go for even more assassination, they definitely can. However, figuring out where everyone's going to fit on the map definitely makes things a little bit trickier. Qlash going with that Varia, definitely a pick they have seemed very comfortable with coming out of the mid lane, and certainly a mage that deals very well against Celeste.
Yeah, and it's also one of these heroes, Varia, that can, when team fights start happening, when everyone is grouped up, can do so much work. And with the way that Qlash plays, they force opponents to group up around these turrets when they're trying to siege up, and you drop that Anvil's Hammer when you're sieging a turret, all of a sudden the enemy team has to disperse. They can no longer stand defending that turret. It's such a great siege breaking hero.
Yeah, absolutely. Going with the Vox there as well, certainly a very good hero at kiting around Alpha, making sure that Alpha can't just get on top of them at all times. With that mortal wound from the poison shiv, definitely something that can hinder Alpha just a little bit. Salty Potatoes gonna want to find some more range, exactly what they do with that Kestrel pickup. She's gonna be able to sit in the back line, try and stay as far away from Reza and Baptiste as she possibly can. However, they don't have a lot of protection.
Yeah, and I would expect their last pick to go towards that protection really on both sides. There's not a lot of durability for Qlash. Unless they decide to go really off the wall with a Captain Baptiste. They do not have their captain yet either. I think an Arden as their captain would be the perfect way to round out this composition, because you need someone who's extremely durable, who can soak up a lot of damage, but you also need to get yourself a captain. And there's not really, many of the super durable captains aren't really going to be fitting very well into this composition. Like a Grace, I don't think would be working super effectively, just because she's trying to dive in while you have so much range on your team. Whereas Salty Potatoes, they're in a much more open position for their final pick.
Yeah, not that I necessarily think it would be the best. They go with the Churnwalker, though. I do really like that pick. Once they get them all chained up, they're going to have a ton of AoE coming out of the auto attacks from Varia. Churnwalker able to pull them all together, deal even more splash damage, and definitely something that Salty Potatoes is going to have to watch out for. But it's not a whole lot of protection, and when you're trying to get onto these backline mages, a lot of times you want that tanky frontliner, something you're going to have to be careful of.
The idea I'm seeing from Qlash is they are all about sieging up turrets. Churnwalker is another one of these heroes that is excellent when you are going for those turret sieges, because you throw out those chains, and if they connect, all of a sudden your enemy heroes, they need to disperse. They need to get away, and they can't defend that turret any longer. If they want to stick around and continue to defend the turret, they're going to have to be in harm's way. They're going to have to be sticking with those chains on them. So it makes things very difficult in terms of defending, and we already know that Qlash loves to push turrets.
Salty Potatoes picking up that Arden last pick. That's a perfect pick. That's definitely going to help those backline mages stay alive anytime Reza or Batiste are trying to dive that backline.
So there were a couple of surprises in there, but now that we know who the drafts are, Flash, who are you keeping an eye on in terms of players?
Definitely for the side of Qlash, going to be wanting to watch Leon. He's still so good, mechanics so strong. The shot color of this Qlash roster, their macro play absolutely insane. You see them pick up that Ghost Wing buff, and then it's just go time.
Yeah, I mean, Leon, again, has been renowned as one of the top players in the world for multiple years in Vainglory, and he has been excellent in the 5v5 shot calling role. But on the other side, for Salty Potatoes, I'm going to be keeping my eye on Sneaky for this game. He's one of these players that has been a hard carry. He has been one of the top tier players for the last season or two, and really kind of came onto the scene was in this 1v1 sort of scenarios. He was finding 1v1s in the lanes. Not going to be so much the case in 5v5. You don't really have as many 1v1 potentials, but he is still a massive playmaker for this squad. I'm looking forward to, if he is going to be playing that Reza in this game, you have to keep your eyes on him at all times.
Yeah, his mechanics on Reza so strong, diving those backlines, knows exactly when to go in, exactly when to get out, and that is the most important mechanic of playing an assassin type hero.
So again, we're going into a match that has kind of an even playing field. So on paper and also in terms of gameplay style, who do you think has the edge?
I'm leaning towards Qlash just because, again, of the strength of schedule and just how dominant they've looked.
Yeah, Qlash's macro play is untouchable right now.
All right, it looks like the game is underway. Okay, we're going to go to Stresscast and Dowsy. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Erica. It is first place teams tied up here in the EU VPL. Both these guys 3-0. One of them's going to take the lead over the other very shortly, Stress.
Somebody's got to, but I'm still fairly new to Vainglory here, Dowsy. I got a question for you. I'm looking at the Qlash lineup. I'm seeing a lot of carries. I'm not seeing a lot of tankiness. Am I correct in saying that this seems a little bit more like a glass cannon strategy than a lot of the ones we've seen in the last week or so?
Yeah, no, for sure. This is a definitely more aggressive style coming out of Qlash. Carl playing that jungle Batiste will go a little bit more tankier for sure, become a bit more of a bruiser in that playstyle. And Leon, of course, on this Churnwalker has so much healing available to him, and he will become tanky as well. But when you look at Zone playing that glass cannon Reza, Nettolet's going to be picking up that Vox, and then of course I'm the Doom in the mid lane on the Varia. Those are very tanky heroes that are really going to have to play well. And speaking of that,
ooh, this
Qlash,
is not a great
they've
spot.
been triangled. Can they get out of this one alive? Carl and Leon. Well, it's just going to be Carl going down to begin with, but then Leon get out as well as the real shout. Has boots, pops them, runs away, but first blood to Salty Potatoes.
And now this is the danger of running a multi-carry composition where you're looking for heavy damage and not a lot of tankiness. Is Salty Potatoes, maybe this is the start they need, because if you get ahead of the curve on becoming tanky before the enemy damage kicks in, that typically is where you can start to see these squishier compositions start to run out of steam. Now, a lot of trading across the board. Leon still getting fought by Sneaky in that bottom lane, but throwing out the hooks. He's landed way more than we've seen today already in this game.
And when it comes to Churnwalker, Leon definitely knows how to utilize this hero to its maximum efficiency. Remember that Churnwalker's passive heals him for any damage that is dealt to his opponents, and so he really knows how to call his team in to provide the damage so that he can become that frontlining threat that Churnwalker was so powerful at being on the 3v3 version of Vainglory. If anyone's going to make it work, it's Leon. Here in the mid lane, it's I'm the Doom, setting up the damage, and Churnwalker just amplifying it. Doesn't quite have his A ability ready yet to throw it at Joker, so we're not going to see a kill just yet, but that damage already is so devastating.
Has to be respected, as well as also another push from Varia. We of course have seen her go back, pick up a little bit extra. Of course, we see quite commonly a little bit of extra attack speed because of the passive from Varia. You're able to send that lightning chaining through the minions and push out. Of course, see that pretty commonly as a first back on that Varia, but at this point, this is slower than Qlash have played in every single game that they've had. And I'm not going to rag on them too much, but at this point, they've normally got 5 or 6 kills.
Okay. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. It is definitely a shorter pace, and currently it's Salty Potatoes who are on the board. One thing that is quite interesting is the AoE available to this team. I'm the Doom's Varia, of course, when he chain lightnings, that's a lot of AoE, but then you've got the Churnwalker to provide damage to multiple targets through that AoE. You've got Vox here, who's just providing AoE in the resonance bounces alone. Looks like it will be a weapon power Vox based on the items in his inventory.
Aeon just stole away the crystal orb. Just moves in, steals it, runs away, he's out.
This is a really good macro play coming out of Salty Potatoes. Yesterday, I think a little bit of criticism stress, honestly, to the messiness of their game against Wolves, who are currently sitting at the bottom of the leaderboard. But right now, they're really holding Qlash to their own.
Yeah, they are. This is a pretty good early game. And as we say that, Aeon checks right into 3 members of Qlash.
Yeah, it is going to be Qlash and Aeon pulled back on in. Qlash going very low. Aeon will have to reboot in a second. Look at the damage coming out of Leon, making sure that Joker can't save Aeon. But Aeon's still alive, and he's going on for Doom. Pop is popped. Can Aeon get in? No, Disown just in time saves I'm the Doom's life, but a close fight nonetheless. Leon sitting on the shivers of health there.
That was beautiful out of Leon. Actually got the 2-man pullback for that fight. We're actually going to have another engage here as Carl trying to find a Squire in the top side. Gets that stun locked.
Yeah, I don't think he's escaping this one alive. He's trying to go for the kill into Disowned instead, knowing that he was trapped. It's always the case with Kestrel. You are very much a glass cannon, and when you're caught, you're caught. You just have to go for it, try and burst on down. That's something that Baptiste is really good at doing, is keeping Kestrel in check.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that continuously through the game as well, as Kestrel not going to have too much room to move. We've seen the Churnwalker as well be effective in these fights. If you ever do land anything on Kestrel, as unlikely as that should be from the range advantage, that certainly would be an area that Qlash can take advantage of if they can set that up.
Currently, 2-1 on the scoreboard, and gold as even Stevens as it could be. But Qlash have been slowed down in the accelerated game style that they like to be playing. Salty Potatoes holding them, making sure that they don't run away with things. Qlash going to take a little bit of damage, but it's nothing to ride home about. A one-shot from top lane lands on Carl. Currently, Salty Potatoes are just really doing what they can to find themselves on the scoreboard. One thing we haven't really talked about yet, Stress, is the fact that Sneaky here is playing a lane, Tony. Something that we haven't actually seen too much of yet has been often the captain pick coming through.
Yeah, now that means we're going to see the damage, Tony, which has been destroying solo queue since release for quite a while. Like, I know I've run into a few of them, and I'm like, oh, this is really not feeling good. When Tony just comes in, ults, smashes everybody in the face, and manages to carry a fight. Now, of course, that's against players that aren't coordinated when you're playing in a solo queue setting. When you're in a 5v5, it's a little easier to play around a Tony in a fight if you can defend using the Churnwalker. We did just see the Varia ult used. Was that trying to set up a fight up on the top side? I saw that Reza was
very
going
low. Joker's just pretty much caught out. There's no escaping this. All the CC comes out of Qlash, and that's going to be him falling. Qlash as well should go down under the turret. Great dive coming out of Qlash. Disowned in the top side, just holding out against Esquire and Aeon. Really, they needed to put pressure on if they were going to find anything there. But with 2 men down in the mid lane, this is where Qlash looked for the Ghost Wing.
Yeah, exactly, and this is what teams like Qlash, like Queso, and to some extent Salty Potatoes, when they've been playing well, have been very good at. They just turned immediately for that objective. They did stop for that Crystal Orb, but at that point they know they have the advantage. That's the tower going down up on the top side, I believe. So there is something picked up, at least for Salty Potatoes, in this exchange.
Yeah, they knew they had to get something somewhere to keep that gold towards even, and that's where they find it. Alternating current now finished for I'm the Doom, meaning that his auto attacks are going to proc that chain lightning pretty much every auto attack if he is to hold down. Now they're going to push down this bot side turret. One thing that I'm the Doom has done so well in all the games we've seen from Qlash is roam like a monster. Probably the mid laner that's roaming the most really here in EU. But the thing is, when you do roam out, you leave your mid lane open, and Salty Potatoes have grouped up as 4 to try and push that down.
Yeah, trying to push the mid in exchange for that bottom tower being pushed down. Now we're going to see Qlash try and hold on.
This zone trying to lay down the damage. That's going to be a kill going the way of Carl. Carl now onto Aeon. Leon stunning up Carl Aeon, and that means he can't pop his ultimate. Here's Doom looking for a Squire. That Alpha will fall, and Qlash just turned that on its head. Managed to group up as 5, take bot lane turret, and now they're going to take mid as well.
Yeah, Qlash didn't seem too phased about the cage fight there set up by Salty Potatoes at that point. Now they're going to try and continue to push. Remember, they had the Ghostwing buff to start this off. Tony's going in.
Reman taunt. That's a huge butter bomb. Everyone is split, and Carl will lose his life. Sneaky just showing up here on that Tony. What a crazy hero that is.
That's exactly what I was talking about. I mean, normally you see that kill all 5 people after the end of the fight, but still, 1 kill is enough for me. Sneaky making his presence felt in the end of that fight. And Salty Potatoes, this is where we've seen them in these scrappier games. We saw them versus Wolves yesterday go really tooth and nail into a bloody game. And if that's a playstyle that they're more comfortable with, that's not something Qlash have been faced with. Qlash have not been put on the back foot many times, so if they can drag this into a little bit of chaos, maybe that's how you can beat one of these teams that seem to be so clean and so crisp.
Yeah, considering the fact that their games have been finishing, you know, around the 11, 12-minute mark, right now it's feeling like Salty Potatoes are going to make sure that Qlash really have to drag this one out if they want that victory. Qlash have not been able to accelerate at all. Tier 2 turrets still do exist for Salty Potatoes, so there is plenty of time to keep this game alive. A one shot just to see if Ghostwing is being taken here, I believe. Of course, it hasn't quite respawned just yet. But Qlash now grouping up, 4 in the bot lane and 1 in the top side, essentially trying to ensure that they find a turret somewhere on the map.
Exactly. At this point, Qlash is saying we'll take either the bottom lane push or the top lane push while you push mid. And you can see Salty Potatoes haven't really committed to it, which is why Qlash will regroup once again. It doesn't look as favorable in their side. The minions on the top side will actually do a decent amount of work themselves. So that's why Reza drifts down to the middle lane, is going to be able to participate in any 5 versus 5. Because here is the Ghostwing spawn. You can see Tony setting up around the side of the fight. This one hasn't kicked off yet, but the battle lines are drawn. Man. Leon throws out 2 hooks. He's already got them. Here comes the ult charge, though.
Add a Ghostwing. That's a great time to use it. The ult charge providing vision. That's going to be the Ghostwing taken. Sneaky trying to find position, but his team is losing their life. Class and Esquire go down to I'm the Doom. A double kill already. And Sneaky just going to piece out to the bot side. They've already lost this one. Joker falls for the triple kill. And Qlash with a Ghostwing with a triple. That's going to be time to take some turrets.
Dazzy, at what point did the point and click turn on the chain for this Churnwalker? When was it not a skill shot? Because Leon has hit just about every single one of them. I haven't seen him miss them to start the fight. Now, they're just getting turrets every single fight now. Qlash have found their footing in this game. Salty Potatoes had a really good early game, really took it to them to start this game off and drag them into a slower pace, but suddenly it's all started ramping up.
Yeah, no, it's just, at this point, this is where Qlash have become so scary here in EU. You've let them get a goal lead over you. They've got the turrets and the macro game against you. A Doom in that mid lane has a 2,000 gold lead over Joker on a Varia. That is disgusting, and he is just going to get stronger and stronger as this game goes on. A 4-man group in the bot lane. Sneaky trying to hold it own, taunt some people away to try and buy time, but that turret is just going to fall so quickly. Another one goes the way of Qlash, and Salty Potatoes, realistically, nothing they can do.
Yeah, not a lot to do there. If that taunt does land as well, you've got to be careful. You can at least back your way out. Sneaky knows how to play that precariously, but Qlash looking for more targets around the mid lane here. Big burst of movement speed. There's the dart forward for that Varia. Decent amount of damage comes out, forces a couple of blocks, and at this point, Qlash are going to back themselves away. They know that they don't want to overpush here. That's the key thing. They can see some easier objectives to take for themselves. The orbs, the top lane tower, but is it as easy? Because Joker has actually picked that one up.
Yeah, it is 2 men from Qlash in the mid lane, getting rushed down. Joker landing some damage onto Doom. Good damage as well. Here comes the Solar Storm. Oh no, the global ults both miss. And that is going to be I'm the Doom surviving with just a bit of health there. 13 minutes on the clock, and Salty Potatoes, best shot they've had to take down Doom, lost unfortunately. He's going to go back to base, buy up, and head back to the party.
And they lose the
Only a matter
tower
of
for it
time.
at the same time. That's the real disadvantage.
Oh dear, double fearsome shade inside that cage. Esquire and Sneaky can't get into this fight. There's the barrier roll from downtown, and that's going to be the first kill going Carl's way. Sneaky will fall as well unless he can butterboom out. No, he can't. Double for that Batiste. 2 men down. Mid lane is pushing up. So is that top side. Huge wave stacked up with a captain minion as well, and Qlash recognize it. Straight up they go to find that tier 2 on the top side.
Yeah, they'd already done the work on the outer tower, and now they're looking for the inner one as Qlash. They had that wave set up. You mentioned it. A lot of strength here. They may even look to move this into the armory. There's still 5 seconds on Sneaky here, so they can push the minions down and at least pick and choose now. Do you push mid back out? Do you stay top? It's mid that they want to go for because Ghostwing has spawned, so you can move all the way down for another Ghostwing take.
Yeah, this time, this is where Sneaky Potatoes really have to make something happen. Everyone has their ult charges ready to go, I think, apart from that gauntlet, realistically. It is going to be a Solar Storm flying through, but Leon blocks up half of it, so it's not going to do much damage. One shot just a second too late. Was a good angle, though, found by Esquire. Ghostwing has been taken. 90 seconds now of regeneration on both healing and mana. Energy for Qlash here, and only 40 seconds until that Black Claw spawns. I don't think we've had a game yet, Stress, where Qlash has had the opportunity to take a Black Claw, but
It's
really
certainly
excited
not
to
that
see
we've
what
cast.
happens if they do that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they can make that push work for themselves. I mean, this was a close game for the first maybe 5 minutes or so, and now it's at a nearly 14,000 gold deficit. And Qlash, they've got themselves another Ghostwing. They're moving up towards the top side. They're setting up for this Black Claw. Like, there is not a lot to stop them, and that is why Salty Potatoes didn't commit to that Ghostwing play. They know if ever they're going to commit for anything, it's going to be a defensive team fight in front of their armories that basically is make or break for the game.
Well, Black Claw has been started up here. Joker has his Solar Storm. He's not going to be able to throw it out in time. There she flies towards the mid side of the map, and now Qlash have all the cards in their hand. Only mid lane is pushing, so that's where they'll run to push with the Beast of a Dragon. It's only a matter of time until Salty Potatoes are forced to team fight.
Yeah, it's basically the next 10 seconds, but here's the Varia ult already to get him low.
Bada boom in, that's the corner going down, but it's already Tony gone down, and Qlash soon to follow. Joker's very short on health. Double kill comes through once more for Carl, who's had a monster of a game. Armory's dead, Vein Crystal at half health. Leon just having fun, as he may actually just lose his life. He does, but the Vein Crystal pops, and Salty Potatoes will be defeated. Qlash, the #1 team in EU.
They've gone past Team Queso, they've gone past Salty Potatoes, but there is no real essence of playing with their food. Qlash sit atop of the table, 4-0, and looking incredibly impressive as they play.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff from Qlash. Totally understanding